Bishops of the Catholic Church are gathering in Lourdes for their biannual meeting 1 month after the publication of a devastating report on widespread child sexual abuse within the institution. The investigation found that an estimated 216,000 children had been victims of abuse from the clergy since 1950. This rises to 330,000 children when including sexual crimes committed by laymen working for the Church. During 7 days, the some 120 members at the meeting will discuss the findings highlighted in the document.
I believe that there is no taboo question. This question of compensation, which is a matter of justice, as you say, this question will be addressed. Knowing that, we must think of the victims for whom the statute of limitations has expired, and therefore they will not have criminal justice, since the cases are statute barred. How can the Church work to recognize these people and to do them justice?
The bishops have begun paying compensation. We wanted them to be the first to pay out. Maybe in the next few weeks, I think we will be in a better position to give the figures. It's starting to cost several €100,000.
The eventual decisions taken over the next few days will be submitted to a vote from the bishops on the 8th of November.
The French Catholic Church has begun an internal inquiry following damning revelations about child sex abuse committed by priests over decades. Well, for more on this story, we can speak to Robert Chazal. He's an investigative reporter who followed a similar outcome in the Netherlands and looked at how the country there dealt with the outcome of similar findings. Well, thanks for taking time to speak to us here on the programme. As I mentioned in the introduction, there are many echoes in this French case as well as in the Dutch case and many other countries where this sort of abuse has been reported. What sort of things came out of your investigations?
Well, our investigations actually were the prompt that forced the Roman Catholic Church in the Netherlands to carry out its own internal inquiry, a church-wide inquiry throughout the country. The results of that church inquiry were huge. They found that there were tens of thousands of victims in the Netherlands from World War II until the early 1980s, there were many, many people who were victims who then stepped forward and came to the church and demanded compensation as well. So it triggered also an entire compensation scheme and a series of apologies from the church. It's been a very long and painful process, and I can really say that it's not even complete at this point.
You know, this is obviously more than about money. You know, how does the Dutch Catholic Church, or how is it going about, restoring its image and that crucial thing about faith?
Yeah, it's an extremely difficult, long process. It's been going on for 10 years since our investigation started the whole thing. And in fact, bishops in the Netherlands have had great difficulty striking the right tone because, you see, their flock have been psychically, physically, mentally damaged by this in a way that really is a very, very long-lasting and multi-generational thing. And so the bishops have had to really get on their knees and ask for forgiveness. And bishops are not really accustomed to that kind of thing. If I'm not mistaken, the French bishops are going to have a similar difficulty in striking the right tone, in being apologetic. The mea culpa really has to resound for many, many years to come.
What you mentioned earlier on, that the ramifications of this are still going on some 10 years later, and that's only for the church, let alone the pain of the victims. What lessons would you say that the Dutch Catholic Church has learned from all of this?
Well, first of all, that there can be no turning the other way when there are signs of any kind of wrongdoing, and certainly anything that harms the physical integrity of churchgoers. The dangers of sexual abuse have to be widely communicated. Priests and nuns and all volunteers, anybody who works for the church, and certainly those in contact with children, have to be extremely well trained in knowing the warning signs. Also, the church has to be aware that there could still be predators in their midst, that there are still people in the employ of the church who could well be a danger to children. So really everyone has to be aware that the church is part of wider society in that sense, and that there's no immunity. So it's very much an alertness, an awareness, and a willingness, in fact, and a certainty that they must react.